again. So is Bitcoin getting ready for its next big move up? We've got Bitcoin sitting today on a Sunday up 1.3%, sitting at 46,500. And I'm going to share with you some key patterns I'm seeing in the charts. This is going to be a comprehensive overview. We're going to look at all different time frames on the Bitcoin charts because they're all showing something really interesting, which many people have not seen. So make sure you hit up the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Please watch till the very end. As always, these videos are brought to you by myself. If you want to join our course member live streams, check out the link in the description, ijaz.uk/member, to ask me questions on your portfolio. We can critique your portfolio. You can ask me TA questions. Ask me market questions on what my psychology is, on what I'm doing in the market, and a whole bunch more. Let's get straight into the Bitcoin chart here, because here on the hourly, you guys will know that once we got the breakout from this big wedge, right? We got the breakout from the big wedge, and we headed all the way up to 48,200. And at that point, you remember I drew this little curve here to say, look, we need a retest. We need a retest of the 44.5 level. We got the retest. We got a nice bounce. But remember in yesterday's video, I said we need to create that higher high above this blue line, above 48,200. It looks like we've curled over a little bit here on the hourly chart. Naturally, you don't want to look too much into this because it can just send you in the wrong direction, but you are curling over a little bit. Now, thankfully, you can see that's rotated here at about 45,600. The support came in and brought us back up to where we're at now, which is 46.5. But we do need to get above 48,200 ASAP. Otherwise, what you start to form, and it's still early to say this, but what you start to form is, very crudely, if I draw this, you can almost argue that you create a little triangle in here. And that's not what we want, right? We do not want to create a descending triangle pattern, because on an hourly chart, this descending triangle pattern can break to the downside. And if you break to the downside of that pattern, you will then end up back in our bigger wedge on the larger timescales, okay? So just something to be aware of. We just need to keep working our way up past 48, retest on that side, and head to the upside for the bullish scenario to play out. Now, before we go into the other chart patterns, let's take a look at the fear and greed index. We're sitting at 48. It was 52 the other day. Still, the market's feeling pretty confident. It's sitting at neutral territory. We've not got into, pure FOMO and greed just yet, but the market is starting to feel confident, right? The longer we spend above 42, 43, those kind of levels, the market's going to feel confident. If we break below 44.5 in this wedge back to the downside, trust me, the fear and greed index is going to start retracing back down to a little bit of fearfulness coming back into the market. Now, if you haven't watched my video from yesterday explaining whether we're coming across an alt season, make sure you go watch that at the end of this video, because I do look into the Bitcoin dominance. I show you the pattern that we're seeing here in the Bitcoin dominance. And again, over the last couple of hours, we see that continue to drain to the downside. Another red day for Bitcoin dominance, which is showing that altcoins are starting to get some rotation into them, right? Money's coming out of Bitcoin and starting to rotate into altcoins as we head towards this 39.65 line. At the time of recording, you've got Bitcoin up about 1.5% now as I've been speaking, but altcoins are starting to move. You've got Phantom up another 3.5% today, sitting at $1.60. Solana up 4%. You've got Cadena, which we spoke about yesterday, up 3.5%. You've got things like Matic up 2%. Doge is even moving 3% today. So we're starting to see the early signs, nothing too exciting, nothing too major, but the early signs that money's feeling confident enough to start rotating into altcoins. When the market's really fearful, money stays in Bitcoin, and if it's really, really fearful, it doesn't even go into Bitcoin, right? That's when we see Bitcoin having red days. But what we're getting right now is a quietly confident market. Money's still mainly in Bitcoin, but we're starting to see it rotating slowly across to altcoins. We discussed this full chart pattern in my altcoin season video, so make sure you go check that out as well. Now, let's continue on to our other time frames, because we've seen some really interesting patterns here in the Bitcoin chart. And what I want to do is I want to go across to the 4-hourly, because if we look at the 4-hourly chart, we just get a bit more zoomed in here. We bring out our EMA ribbon. Let's just get zoomed in here. What we can see is on the 4-hourly chart, after we had our retest, we retested back here at 44.5, then we had a nice candlestick to the upside. Now, what we've got since, the bit that I was worried about, which is our curling over, okay, you see that curling over? Remember, in an ideal world, this would have just gone straight through 48,200 on this blue line, and we would have continued higher, but we didn't, right? We're getting this little bit of a test here to on the EMA ribbon, but we've got the bounce, and that's important. If you can just see that here, guys, as we curled over, you can see the support came in exactly where the EMA ribbon is. So that can normally be a good setup sign for us having some good buying power taking us back up to the top side. So definitely want to monitor that over the 4-hourly chart. You can also see on the RSI here below, we've got plenty of room here for us to have a good run here to the upside on RSI. Now, I don't expect that to come on a Sunday. Sundays are notorious for just being odd days and low volume, but definitely if the market can open up positive tomorrow, if stocks can open up, if there's not many fears around the Russia-Ukraine tension and the market's feeling positive, then there's no reason that Bitcoin can't start to work its way back towards 48 early in the week. So that's something I want to monitor on the 4-hourly. Now, let's take a look at the daily, because on the daily chart, you'll see another story unfolding. And the daily chart is showing that even with the retest all the way down, remember when I said we can get the retest of 44.5? That doesn't even get you touching your EMA ribbon. And this shows the strength of Bitcoin right now. Compared to where we were here, which is the quagmire of this situation, this was a tough situation. But where we're at now is very different, because now we could even fall, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but we could comfortably fall down to 43,500, even 43,000 on this yellow line here. And you can still argue that's just a test of the EMA ribbon. And you can get a solid bounce on the EMA ribbon and head to the upside. So we're now in a far better situation here on Bitcoin, where we've got optionality. We've got the ability to retrace to the downside. So if some negative news comes out, or something comes from the Russia-Ukraine crisis, or Jerome Powell says something, or anything else happens in the economy this week, it's okay, because we've got the breathing room. Whereas before, when we were hovering precariously at 32, we didn't have the breathing room from a technical perspective. We were already well below our EMA ribbon. We were heading to lower lows, and we were worried that we were going to go lower than 29. So in that instance, when you're sitting at 32 with your lower low at 29, you cannot risk the market shaking you to the downside. So we're in a far better situation, and that is why you're seeing the markets feeling a lot more confident right now to be in Bitcoin, because you've definitely got plenty of room here to retrace and still continue to the upside here on Bitcoin. If it wants to just bounce from where it is now and continue to the upside, that's still perfectly good as well. But that is hugely bullish if it just turns now and rotates straight through 48. That is hugely bullish, because at that point, it's not even come to touch its EMA ribbon, which is very impressive here on the daily chart. Okay, so that's a daily chart. What are we seeing on the weekly chart? Well, let's get a tidy chart here on the weekly. And what we can see here on the weekly chart is very interesting, because what this weekly candle just had, and we've got another 10 or so hours here of this weekly candle before it closes, is it shows it was a crazy week, right? We had the week before that, which was a nice big weekly candle. We started at 41,300, and through the week we pushed to as high as 46,900, just knocking on the door of 47 on this weekly candle here. But this week has been very different. We opened up at 46,900, right, just shy of 47,000, and we visited as low as 44,000 on the bottom of this wick. And then we're currently sitting at 46,500. This is a crazy candle. You can see the big wicks on this candle to the upside and to the downside. Just goes to show, let's bring it in the middle of the screen here, which just goes to show how the bulls and the bears are fighting at this key level. This is a very important level. But what I wanted to point out was you can see where the support came in. And the support came in around 44,200 at EMA ribbon. And this is what's so great about this. We're getting a nice retest of this EMA ribbon. Remember, when you first have your first candle coming out from an EMA ribbon, the next thing you don't want to see is a big red engulfing candle. So an engulfing candle is one where it's bigger than the preceding candle, like a big red candle all the way here, throwing you straight back below your EMA ribbon, because that's just a fake out. That's just liquidating people. It's getting people excited that, oh, look, the weekly EMA closed above the EMA ribbon, but then the next candle is a powerful red one saying, no chance, we're going back bearish. And you can see that if you go back in time, you see a couple of these play out in certain situations where you fake out above and then you quickly move in the other direction. But we've not got that, thankfully, here, because what we are seeing, in fact, is the opposite. We're getting support coming in, and as long as we can hold this candle above, and we're plenty above our EMA ribbon, because the EMA ribbon starts at 44,800, as long as we continue this and open up the next week green and start working our way to the upside. And we know from the weekly perspective, what we want to achieve is a higher high. We managed to achieve the higher low. This was 29. This was 32 roughly. Okay, this was 64. This was 69. So now we need to post that higher high. And as long as we can do that, Bitcoin will maintain a very long-term weekly upwards trend. And that continues to remain bullish for Bitcoin. That's what we want to see unfold on Bitcoin. So there you have it, guys. There is the analysis on multiple timeframes on Bitcoin. We're looking good on multiple timeframes. Now, is that a reason for you to go chase the pumps? Absolutely not. Now is when you need to be just pausing, taking your foot off the accelerator and just analyze the market. And I continue to reiterate this to course members. We're jumping on another course member live streams in the next hour. If you want to join, head over to ijaz.uk/member and get yourself signed up to join our course member live streams. But one of the messages I've been reiterating is that we've done our work, right? We've done our purchasing in the red, and now is not a time to chase green candles. If you're new to the market, you need to wait for pullbacks. You need to let it come to you. This is how you get yourself burnt. When the market has moved so powerfully over the last 10, 11, 12 days, and you come into the market and enter at those levels, and then you go down for a prolonged pullback, that's when you get hurt. But if you're patient, you watch the market, you let it come to you, you wait for the pullbacks, you enter your high conviction plays, there's no way you can go wrong. Just be patient, only invest what you're willing to lose, and all the normal other advice everybody gives you. So hopefully you guys made sense of that Bitcoin video. Hopefully you guys take value from the different chart patterns we're seeing. Remember, when different timeframes are showing you similar stories, that is something called confluence. Confluence is a really powerful tool. And what I do on this channel is I try to blend the technical confluence with the fundamentals. If you got the fundamentals telling you the same story as the technicals, that is an unstoppable message. Because if you can see, a certain pattern in the charts, and at the same time you're seeing something happen in the macro economy in terms of a shift towards more risk on and confidence coming back into the market, that is a huge, powerful indicator for you to start increasing your positions or getting ready for a move to the upside. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link up the next video, which is the altcoin season video from yesterday. If you haven't watched that, it's really important that you watch that, because you do not want to miss this next upcoming alt season. Go watch that video, understand what's going on, what triggers an alt season, how does it work, what does it even mean, and are we entering into one? Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.